and wrote my second book of short horror stories, which got published a couple of weeks ago on Halloween.
Oh, it was don't tell me, Deadknobs and Doomsticks, right? Doomsticks
This is Deadknobs Doomsticks 2.
two. Don't
So
forget
it's
the
called
two.
Tales of the Lockdown, it's called, yeah.
Uh-huh. And are they quite like jokey horror stories? Are they quite
Um,
serious?
well, no, they're all very serious. Proper horror. They're not for kids. It's for 18s and over. There's a lot of language in there and a lot of dark stuff because that's what what gets me going really.
Hmm.
And so I did a course with the Open University. I've done a degree in geoscience and geology, and then I did some other modules as side things to do on it. I did one on photography, another one on creative writing. Then I did advanced creative writing because I really enjoyed it, and I had to write a couple of. I was doing a lot of dark stuff in the tutorials, and the tutor said, I like your funny stuff, but the darker stuff is better.
Oh.
And unbeknownst to me, a friend of mine who's a bloke called Colin Edmonds, who was Bob Monkhouse's writer for many years, he writes a lot of steampunk novels. So I would send my stuff to him after it had been marked to see what he thought of it. And then unbeknownst to me, he collected all these stories that I'd been writing and sent them to his publisher. And then consequently, the publisher contacted me and said, how many stories have you got like this? So there's about half a dozen. He said, well, they're all as good as this. If you can do another 13, then I'll publish them. So that's how that came about. And then over the past 9 months, he's always been on at me about doing another one, but I just don't have the time. So rather than just sit on my backside and do nothing, I came up with it and 19 stories in this one. And I illustrate the books myself. So that's basically, cut a long story short, Kev, that's what I've been doing.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Well, what's your favourite story from the collection, or the most like horrific story out of them all?
Yeah, well, they're all horrific. There isn't one that you go, oh, I'm not sure about that. They're all quite, but I always think with short stories, when you read a book of short horror stories or whatever it is, some short stories aren't short. They'll take you a week, 2 weeks to read. Go, that's not a short story for me.
Yeah.
I want a short story to be 15, no more than half an hour. That's a short story to me. And there is an art in writing a story that is only a few thousand words, where you get the arc of the story and actually get to care about the characters. And I learned through the creative writing courses that to make people care about these characters, you have to get it down to so many words still, but not lose any of the impetus of the story. And sometimes when you read short stories as well, the author will go, yeah, I've left it open at the end there, so the reader can actually make up their own mind what actually happened. And that really gets up my nose because you're like, that, well, I paid 15 quid for this book. I don't want to make the ending up. I could have written that myself then. I want to know what you've written. Tell me what, don't leave it to me. So every single story that I've got is a start, a middle, and an end, regardless whether it's a 2-minute story or a 2-day story. It's there, and there's a little punchline at the end of each story, which is and also because they're horror stories, people like to go to the loo if they're constipated. People like to read in the loo, don't they? And so this book you can actually read 1 or maybe 2 stories if you're having a long sit-in, and at the end of it you won't be constipated either.
Don't be so scared; it will clear them out.
Yeah, of course it will.
Yeah. Joe, I think one of my favourite ever stories. It was a short story by Stephen King. And
yeah.
I would never get it out of my head. Out my head. It was about this finger that came through a sink, and it was such a silly
little thing. It came through a sink.
Yeah, it came through like a plug hole, and it
really.
Yeah. I think it was in Nightmares and Dreamscapes. A big collection.
Oh, okay,
of short
right. Well, there's one. I'm not sure if it's in that book or not because I haven't done all of that one. I think, Bizarre Bad Dreams. I've done that one by Stephen King. There's a story in one of them called The Long Jaunt, which is I think for me, I love Stephen King. James Herbert was my favourite. If I'm honest, between Stephen King and James Herbert, I think I preferred James Herbert, not because he was British, but it just had a slight edge for me on it. I think maybe it was because the stuff he wrote was purely, it was set. Most of it was set in Britain, so you had all of that background on it. But there's the best thing Stephen King ever wrote for me. There's 2. One of them was The Stand, which was just an enormous book, just the biggest book I've ever read. And it was just, it was one of the most horrific and best things ever. If you've got another 9 months at the moment, go and do The Stand. It's a work of genius. But the other thing, a short story he wrote called The Long Jaunt. And it was as if somebody had said to him, Stephen King, we want you to write a new revamped version of The Fly. You know, there was one Jeff Goldblum in about 1988, something like that. They remade it, but in the 50s, it was called The Fly Then with Vincent Price. And it was like somebody had said, we want you to rewrite this, but give it a whole new slant. And he does this variation on this story that just blow you away. And I was mesmerized by it. It's just a pure work of genius. He is great. He's brilliant.
Wow. Okay, I'm sold. I'll definitely check it out. Now,
but I'm going to find the one about the finger in the sink now, though.
Oh, tell you what, I literally I couldn't sleep for about 2 nights after I read it. It was horrible, and I still can't. I'm so stupid. But if I go into a bathroom, I put the light on super quick, super quick. I can't go in the dark bathroom. I just I think of that finger. It's
well, everybody does.
I'm sure.